Okay, here we go. AG, we're at 822, core problems. This is going to be a 2-day lesson. So we're going to break out the graphing calculators. So if you don't have your graphing calculator, put this on pause, go get it. Make sure you've got your batteries in it. And you are also going to want to look at the resource page for using the graphing calculator, because it's been a while since you've done the scatter plots and the least square regression lines or determining residuals, and we're going to build on that. So grab your graphing calculator and get your note sheet. If you don't have it, it's posted online, Google Classroom. Go take a look. I think you're going to like this, but we're going to be a little patient. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at a model that when we do the residual plot and we look at our R factor, we're going to see there's some discrepancies, and we're going to determine that the linear model is not going to be our best choice. Sometimes that's a little tricky to tell. So we're going to look at this dry ice situation. So we're going to start at noon, and we're going to have 15.3 ounces of dry ice. So our X values is the number of hours after noon, and the Y value is our ounces. So just take a minute now. I want you to go into your graphing calculator, and you're going to go into your table option, and you're going to enter your data in, your X and Y values. All right. So when you do that, that's when you want to also make sure that you turn your stat plot on. So that's when you do the second y equals, and just make sure it's on, because we'll eventually want to graph this. Okay, you're entering your data in list 1 and list 2 for the graphing calculator, and then you're going to be good to go. So once you've done that, you're going to create the scatter plot, and we're going to look at the least square regression line. All right. I'm sure you're pausing this. You're going to put all your stuff in, and we're going to look at the least square regression line. So here we go. We've created the scatter plot, and you're looking at the least square regression line. That's where you did the stat, and then you went to calc, and then you chose number 8, and then you just make sure that X is list 1 and Y is list 2. You need to make sure you store your regression line, right? So you're going to press vars, you're going to scroll to the right, you're going to do Y vars, then choose 1 for function, and you're going to do Y1, and then you press your calculate. Hopefully this is all starting to sound a little familiar. So when you do that, you're going to get Y equals negative 0.52x plus 15.21. I'm looking at this equation. It looks pretty good. I am looking at a decrease, right? I'm going to have less of the dry ice over time. If I look at how much I started with exactly on my graph, it was 15.3 ounces. On my model, I have 15.21. Feeling pretty good. Let's take a look at your R value. Your R value should be negative because your slope is negative. Nice job. You got a negative, and we go 4 digits, 0.9979. This is looking pretty good, right? When we square that, we always get a positive number. Just square what's on your calculator. You don't have to re-enter it. And I get 0.9958. Pretty good. Now, look at the residual plot. Now, your residual plot, I just punch it into the graphing calculator. There's a little spot here to put it to plot your data points. Okay, watch the magic. Bam, we got it. Look, wasn't I so quick? That was super quick. So here I've plotted all my points. And what do you notice? We've got this curve. I was feeling pretty confident with this, but yet it's a curve. If it's a curve, a U-shaped, I'm thinking it's an exponential function, right? When I look at the graph, look at that. This looks pretty linear to me. But in reality, there is a slight curve. So what we're going to do is we're going to change our model from a linear regression to an exponential regression equation. So what I want you to do now is I want you to go back into the graphing calculator. And instead of choosing number 8 when you do the least square regression line, so you go to Stat, you scroll along the top to calculate. Instead of choosing 8, I want you to choose 0, right? It might be 10. You might have to go a little further down. And that's going to be an exponential regression, okay? So based on the scatter plot, we're going to come up with an exponential is going to be our better fit, okay? So you're going to make the residual plot based on your exponential graph, all right? So make sure that when you go back in, looking for my highlighter here. I think I lost my highlighter. All right, look at this, flexible teaching here. I'm just going to grab a different marker here, and we're going to make the residual plot of the exponential regression. When you're going to do this, you're going to clear list 3. This is a huge one because it's got the old data, and then we're going to do the residual. So make sure you go back and you clear list 3 before you try to do the residual. So that's the second mode. You get back to the first screen if needed, right? So you're going to do second 0. You're going to, or you can use the catalog, but you're going to go down to the sum, right? And then you're going to press enter. All right. So, once you've done that, hopefully on your graphing calculator, when you look at your residual plot, it will look very similar to mine, right? Now, you get your equation, you're going to get your R and your R squared value. The fact that this residual plot appears to be more random is what's telling us that this is really an exponential equation. So you did your regression, exponential regression equation. You needed that first. That's the first piece. So it goes back to the same thing we did with the regular scatter plots. Once I've got the equation, I can figure out R and we can figure out the residual, and then you can do the square of the residuals. But you've got to make sure that you've stored your equation before you can do your residuals, because it doesn't have anything to compare it to. All right. It doesn't take me long to explain this, but it's going to take you a little bit to punch the data in and produce the graphs. I'm not so worried about you getting all the graphs plotted on your sheet, because you can look at a completed version online, but I do want to make sure that you can do it on your graphing calculator. If we do some kind of assessment, we may have you do a screenshot of it and then share it with us. All right, so let's see what else we've got here. All right, so on the flip